All right, we're gonna get to sharpening here. This chef's knife, we're gonna put some magic solution on. A little homemade solution of my own. If you want the recipe, throw a comment below and I will share it with you. All right, we're gonna raise this up. And we're going to start this on the F240, the Venev F240, because this knife is not too dull. Beautiful. I'm going to flip it over. All right. And then we're going to feel for a burr. And just sharpen this side so the burr's on the bottom. I do feel it. You can see it. All the metal on my hand as well. Okay. Now the burr's on the top. This is what I meant by saying you can sharpen the knife in sections. I don't normally demonstrate that. I don't normally sharpen a knife in just sections, but you could do it, cut the knife or divide the knife into thirds or half or however many sections you need to. But that'll be good enough right now. We'll flip this blade over, so I will see you on the opposite side of this stone. All right, we're on to the back stone here. This is the F400. Put some more secret sauce on. And we're going to feel for the burr. Burr's on that side. So we're going to start with the side with the burr on it. with this stone having an HRC in the upper 50s, or this knife having an HRC in the upper 50s, this Venev diamond resin stone makes quick work of it. This diamond stone can even cut the super steels with relative ease. And so common chef knife is no problem. One thing to note too is I'm keeping this at a low angle, close to about 15 degrees, because it's a chef's knife and I'm able to sharpen this frequently. This is a kitchen knife, and so a knife like this, you generally want to keep it in the 15-ish degree range. You could go up to 20, and there's nothing wrong with going up to 20 or 22 and a half. But the concept behind it is that this isn't going to be used for batoning. The hardest thing that this should come into contact with is probably going to be bone. So there's no need to take this up to a steeper angle like you would a survival knife that's going to have really heavy abuse. And the theory behind that is that you're going to be able to sharpen this more often. It's not going to see the same kind of abuse as, say, this Benchmade knife here. That's going to be closer to like a 25 degree bevel. So we're going to go to the F800 next, so I'll see you on the next stone. And we're back with the F800 here. Put a little lapping fluid on there, secret sauce. All right, and then we left off going this way, so now we're gonna start right here. I want to get the same angle again. Don't make it sharper or shallower than you've been doing. And that's kind of muscle memory. You want to lock your wrist as well while you're doing this. And find a way to get a consistent motion going. For me, I'm standing up and I just rock forward and back on the, from like toe to heel. That's what's making this move forward. My arms stay locked. And then just to get the little, there's a slight curve in this blade. Right at the toe, right up here. If you look at the blade, there's a slight bend upward here. All you're gonna do for that is just lift. I'm lifting my shoulder just a tad, and that's just gonna present that part of the blade. So if I do that, that part of the blade touches, but then this down here is not touching the stone when I'm doing when I'm sharpening this front part. And then if I let it go down again, then we're good. Feel for the burr all the way down. Flip it. And I'm sharpening this part first, so my shoulder is lifted up just a little bit. Could be your elbow that you're lifting slightly, but not your wrist. You don't want to twist your wrist to get that part of the blade. Another thing that some people do is they'll put their thumb on the heel, or on the spine, I'm sorry, the spine of the blade as kind of a rest. So this thumb right here is pressing against the spine and keeping the angle. So if it is, that's to keep it consistent, the angle consistent. While you're sharpening. And that's working. That technique works well. All right. Now I'm going to flip it back. And now that we're getting into the higher grit, now I'm going to do alternating strokes to just minimize the burr. Alternating forward passing strokes. So, and that's just to minimize the burr. I'm going to do it about 3 times each side. All right, and then I'll catch you on the next stone. All right, we've reached the final stone for this blade. This is the F1200 from Venev, and that's the equivalent of about a 5,000 Sharpening grit, a 5000 grit from Sharpening. It's a 3 micron. It's as high as the Venev makes their Dragon series stones. So you can feel the burr is on the bottom, which is correct. This is more or less polishing the knife, or the bevel, the blade, as opposed to shaping the apex. This is going to remove the majority of the fine scratches that are in the blade, or in the bevel, and that is going to give it a polish, a highly reflective bevel. It does assist a little bit with sharpness, but don't be confused about if a knife is sharpened to a specific grit level that it is that much sharper. You can get hair whittling sharp knives at about 1000 grit as well. So the grit that your knife is sharpened at is not equivalent to the sharpness. However, I will say that a knife that, if all things are equal, and they're sharpened by the same person, 2 different knives, one of them is sharpened to 1000 and all the way, and the other one is sharpened to a higher grit, there will be elements of sharpness that are better in the higher grit. So but if somebody's not sharpening properly and they get their bevel all the way up to a 10,000 grit, that doesn't mean that it's going to cut well, because they may have not apexed well. They may not have sharpened until they got to a burr. So they may have polished the shoulders instead. They may not have sharpened the entire blade with all of its curves, concave or convex curves. One other point that I'll bring up is, before I finish this knife off on this stone, is that this is going to be a flat grind because I'm sharpening on a flat stone. if I were to have sharpened this on the Tormek, I would get a hollow grind, and so that would change up certain dynamics of the knife's sharpness. Typically you can get a hollow grind sharper than a flat grind because you have less material. It's thinner. You have less material behind the apex, so it can slice through the material at a slightly thinner width, and we're talking on a microscopic scale. So, but for your average kitchen knife, unless you're doing a sharpness test with your tomatoes or something like that, you're not going to notice too much of a difference. But if you're trying to go for a sharpness test, then you're going to want to try a hollow grind as well. So we're going to do alternating forward passes with this. And then we're going to dry it off, and we're going to strop it. And right now we're just minimizing that burr as best we can so that it just falls off on the strop. All right. And the only reason that we want to minimize the burr is so that it is easier to get off the apex. I'm just drying this off. And let's get to the strop. So we're going to start on a 4 micron. And we're going to do trailing strokes starting with the toe working to the heel, alternating. You want to go at or slightly below the same angle that you sharpened at. This strop is kangaroo skin, kangaroo leather. And I've got 4 micron diamond stropping paste on here. If you ever need to refreshen your strop because it looks like it's loaded, you can use sandpaper around 120 grit. And that'll take the surface off real quick, and then you can add your diamond resin. This time we're going with 1 micron, which is about a 16,000 grit diamond stropping compound. And you don't want to push too hard. You want to do alternating strokes, getting lighter and lighter. Till you're almost taking some of the weight of the blade off even. So it's just grazing it. That's the 1 micron. And let's see what we can cut with it. We got some newspaper here. From heel all the way to toe. This is cutting amazingly sharp. No matter where I cut on the blade, it's super sharp. So that was newspaper. And I'm certain it'll shave. But I appreciate you watching this video. Hopefully I've brought a couple of things, if not even one thing, to your attention while you're sharpening, so that it makes for a better sharpening experience for you and your results are improved. But keep practicing. Muscle memory is important with hand sharpening. And get yourself a knife, like a go-to knife. We'll do this in another video, this Victorinox. That way I can get this video out. But that's how to sharpen a chef's knife. On 4 different stones and 2 different strops. Don't forget to recommend, subscribe, and like this video. Share it with a friend who you think might like it. I appreciate each and every one of your views. Damn for all out.